How are you so surprised? This is what you like. How do you call foul? This is what you like. Wanna be a millionaire, jet setting everywhere. Turn a blind eye, take a little kickback, Nana. You can fly to Dubai, minister will justify. Go on a shopping spree with tax money, tax money, tax money. What's up, good people? This is what you like. This is what you like. My name is Nomi Superstar. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. This is what you like. Today we are picking up where we left off. We have had week 1, week 2. Now this is week 3. Remember, What You Like is a 6-part podcast series leading up to the release of my next single, This Is What You Like. That's dropping on the 5th of February. So make sure you get it. Make sure you follow me. Make sure you subscribe. Do all of that good stuff, because when the song comes out, then you'll get it immediately. Right. First week, we started with the letter that created the situation we are in right now. It is a directive written by Minister Senzo Mchunu on New Year's Eve. And we in episode 1 spoke about then what happened. Then in episode 2, what we did was to look into what was being raised by Mkhwanazi. We went a little bit deeper. Today, there's people's names that keep coming up repeatedly. And I like to say that these people right now, they're under surveillance. They're under surveillance. They are under SARS surveillance. And we are going to talk about all of these characters that are currently under surveillance. Because as a nation, things have been brought to our attention which are quite important for us to know. First and foremost, Mr. Paul O'Sullivan. Mr. Paul O'Sullivan's name keeps coming up. And when they talk about Mr. Paul O'Sullivan, they like to say, no, Paul O'Sullivan controls everything. I just find it very ironic that the man who is known as somebody who controls everything is refusing to appear at the commission and the parliamentary committee, in a way trying to control this very thing that one would think someone like Paul O'Sullivan would be very eager to participate in. Remember, Paul O'Sullivan, guys, he's not an anonymous witness. Paul O'Sullivan is known. He's known as the accuser-in-chief. You are the accuser-in-chief, comrade. He is known as the accuser-in-chief of corruption and cover-ups in the police and the judiciary. So, I don't understand why the accuser-in-chief, who is always uncovering corruption and cover-ups in the police and the judiciary, would be afraid of a parliamentary session, would be afraid of the commission, and cite safety concerns for his life. How? No one was killed at the commission. Nothing has happened at the commission, at the location of the commission. So why doesn't he want to go? With the anonymous witnesses, we can understand how their testimonies were done, because they had to retain their anonymity. Mr. Paul O'Sullivan does not have anonymity, and he's proudly so, proudly so. So the question becomes, why doesn't he want to go to the commission? And it suggests to me, and I want everybody to listen carefully, there is a behavior amongst people who are entitled and privileged, whereby they want to be in charge of everything in order for it to be right. So unless Paul O'Sullivan is the judge, it's not good. Because Mr. Paul O'Sullivan cannot cite safety concerns. Mm-mm. This man, for a living, draws bullseyes on his body for a living. So I don't understand why he doesn't want to go to the commission. So all of these people are under surveillance, and we believe that Paul O'Sullivan's current location is under an umbrella of legal protection. He's utilizing his access to legal resources. We don't know if he has access to money or access to the legal fraternity or the legal, all of that. But this is just a game. That's what people with money do in the South African judiciary. That's what you can do when you've got money. You can buy more time, because poor people can't buy more time. So, to me, Paul O'Sullivan not wanting to go to the commission, citing safety concerns, I don't buy it. But what he's done is created an umbrella. He's created an umbrella of legal protection. Now, the deeper that we look into Paul O'Sullivan, we also realize that even the journalists in South Africa are now involved in shifting in the capture of the police and the judiciary. They too are implicated. They write certain stories. So now we need to have our eyes on the media, because we must ask yourself a question. When a media is reporting something, a media outlet is reporting something, what are they reporting and what are they reporting it for? Now we need to understand these things, because we didn't understand them before. So Paul O'Sullivan's location, him and that media of his, are under the umbrella of legal things that you can buy legally, legal protection. You can buy legal protection. Just below Paul O'Sullivan, we've got Brown Mokgotsi. Brown Mokgotsi is said to be a businessman from the Northwest. And now South Africa, we know that businessman is code for mafia. Businessman is code for crime. You can't just be a businessman in South Africa. Now we can't even say we're businesswomen. Now we have to say I'm an entrepreneur. So much English in the mouth. Because they have hijacked the word businessman, businesswoman. They've hijacked it. Because Brown Mokgotsi guy is a scam artist. Whoever doesn't believe that Brown Mokgotsi is a scam artist, you know what? In September, you are the kind of people that scam artists want to bump into. Because you are totally ready to eat the meal they've cooked for you. Brown Mokgotsi is a scam artist. He's a higher grade scam artist, or maybe he's a premium scam artist, because higher grade might suggest more intelligence. No, he's a premium scam artist. His marks are big. His marks are big. Doesn't mess around with the marks. And the thing about scam artists is that they paint pictures utilizing the environment, utilizing your insecurities. That's what they're doing. Utilizing what you think. They use you, they mold you, they scam artists, they paint a picture. And then you walk into the frame. They just have to get you to walk into the frame. Once you've walked into Alice in Wonderland, once you've gone in the hole, hi, all gloves are off. The scammer is now going to start working you. So, Mr. Legend Building, Brown Mokotsi, who told us he was a CIA, he was a contact agent, hey, so and so is this and that. Mr. Legend Building, he had his mark, and his mark was Cat Matlala. And he knew that Cat Matlala has 300 million from this contract. And then he knew that I'm going to access this money. But he knew that I'm not going to access it once, not a one and done. It's 300 million. I can't one and done this. There's a lot of money for this money is long. So Brown Mokotsi was like, I'm just going to get myself to understand what are Vusimuzi Cat Matlala's pain points. That's what he was doing. Like, I need to understand what are the pain points. And he went and he understood the pain points. Vusimuzi Cat Matlala told him, maybe, I don't know if he told him directly, but he was like, I've been facing problems with accessing my facility. Because Cat Matlala was renting a facility from Public Works. And this is the building that was going to be the pop-up clinic for the cadets. So he knew, Brown Mokotsi knew this is a pain point. Then Cat Matlala had other pain points. So Brown Mokotsi knew, okay, I need to position myself like this. I'm close to the minister. Oh man, I'm so close to the minister. I'm going to sort this out for you, my guy. Okay, what do you need to happen? And Brown Mokotsi just knew what he needs to do to make you believe that he is who he says he is. Because he's a scammer. Hey, Brown Mokotsi was Legend Building. And Brown Mokotsi can utilize things like corruption. He can utilize the things that exist naturally in the environment. Corruption exists naturally in the tender environment. So he needs to understand where's the corruption. And to find the corruption is not hard. It's the officials that might not be signing. They're not the signatures. No. It's officials who are not the signatures, but that they have to perform an activity which is crucial to the attainment of the target for the supplier, if you can understand me. The person that has to open the gate is the person with the power. The person who has to allocate cadets to your facility has the power. That is an administrative person in government. That's why lifestyle audits, when they only do them with the ministers and the MECs and the DGs and the whatever, I'm like, y'all are sleeping. The real corrupt government officials do not have titles. They don't have heavy titles. No. They are just in the right place at the right time to commit crime. That's what's going on. Hey, Brown Mokotsi was doing what he was doing, and he knows. Another natural occurrence in the context is the ANC, and within the context of the ANC, a natural occurrence is this rumor that has been flying around for decades now that branches can be bought. So a scam artist is not going to say, come, let's go buy the branch. No. Scam artist will say, the branch is being bought, but he won't even say it's being bought. He'll say, we need this branch, my brother, we need this branch. Pay for flights, pay for accommodation. You understand? That's why when they investigate, when they cross-examine Brown Mokotsi, it couldn't make sense. It couldn't make to come together. Because then people would be like, but you're making these claims at this time and you are here and this is happening. No, he was making sure he can extract money. When there's flights, he's going to do something. And I wonder this thing of the minister, he could have kept this going until the elections. He knew I can eat for 5 good years here with this guy. And 300 million is long money. And if you want to keep making this money, I'm the guy that makes sure that the PKTT gets disestablished. Boom! And Brown Mokonzi did not only scam Vusi Cat. Vusi Cat was just his primary mark. But he also had to make the environment so that it's believable for Vusi Cat. So yes, he did meet with Sibia or with Nkabinde, or he did meet with. He was seen at this place. He does say hi to Minister Comrade. That's why I always get nervous when people are very familiar with me when I'm not familiar with them at all. Because you just may be part of the legend building. So Brown Mokonzi, that's all he was doing. He's just being a scammer. That's it. Everything that he was doing was to build the legend. He was feeding to Cat Matlala for it to be true. And that's all he was there for. He's not linked with Senzo Mkhulu, in my view. In my view, Brown Mokonzi did whatever he had to do to build the legend for Scat. And everybody else is now collateral damage. And I don't think Brown Mokonzi intended for it to get this far. You know, Brown Mokonzi and Donald Trump are like the same. They're scam artists. They sell you dreams and then you buy them. Donald Trump, when he ran for the first election, I don't think he thought he was going to win. I don't think so. It was just part of the legend building he needed to maintain his name, the Donald Trump brand, the Trump everything. Yeah, and then he got into government and then it was a mess. And then they voted him in again and it's an even bigger mess. All I can say is for us to believe that Brown Mokonzi is known by any significant political figures and that they were colluding with him. No. It's not making sense for me. So then we have Cat Matlala. Cat Matlala, guys. Let's just be honest. Cat Matlala is what happens in a country where the project that you are embarking in does not have a consciousness that's going with it. So when the ANC took over, there was a whole, sense that there has to be a leveling out of the rich and the poor and accessibility for the masses and which are all great ideas and great targets. But for this particular project, it required a consciousness. You really needed to invest in conscientizing the population and making the population understand we have to do this in order to achieve that. This is our personal responsibility. And I don't know where they lost the plot, because when I was growing up, the fact that today I am wanting to be in public service so desperately is because I was conditioned to have this insatiable desire to serve. And how it was done was through bum, 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 aya, bum, 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 aya, win or lose, sink or swim, One thing is perfect, one thing's for certain, we'll never give in. Hand in hand, side by side, we all stand together. And there were lots of things that were happening in that little cartoon that used to play on SABC constantly. That's where I had a desire to stand with others in moving forward, in developing the country. You know, I have been known when the bank calls me, asking me for money and somebody makes a mistake, or somebody's coming at me with that negative attitude of like, I don't know whether people think just because you owe money, now they're better than you. But I don't know what goes on in the minds of people with money. But this girl was being so rude, like so mean. And I was like, and this is like after I've lost my job during COVID, like I'm just trying to make it work. And I said to her, listen, we're building a country here. We're building a country here. I've been known to say such things because to me, in all walks of life and everything that I do, I'm here to contribute to South Africa because I was sold the dream. I participated. I drew drawings, and there were competitions around the map, the flag of South Africa. Guys, some of us were in grade 1 when all of this was going on. We got co-opted. We got co-opted into the dream of South Africa. But then, somewhere down the line, hey, the things that were important to have in order to show that you are successful, it was no longer standing together in success as a community. No. It was about you on your own, make a lot of money, drive a lot of cars, have a slay queen. Slay queen must have this hair, nails. It just became so showy. And I believe Kat Matlala grew up through that. And I believe in his personal experience, his experience made him somebody that was willing to do whatever it takes to get money, to get fancy cars. And because this is what it is to achieve in life, is to have slay queens, hot slay queens. It's to have designer clothes, top to bottom. I mean, there has to be a level of insanity that you are experiencing when you can buy 5 Lamborghinis in the same color. That means you are looking for something in material, and you've been conditioned in that way. So, Kat Matlala obviously has been conditioned that way, and also he had a hard life. 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 This man is like, okay, so basically you want me to do this and that. And he's also got EQ. I think he's emotionally intelligent, this guy. You know, EQ. Guys, I want to give you an example of emotional intelligence. I grew up in the ghetto. Okay? There's an amount of emotional intelligence and awareness that you require if you grew up in areas that were neglected by the state. If you are working in Soweto and you hear somebody whistling, or if you're working in town CBD and you hear somebody whistling, you have a whistle at the back, and then you hear another whistle responding to that whistle, but that whistle is coming from in front of you, you know, oh shit, I'm about to be robbed. If you look around and you can see nobody else who's random and walking somewhere in the vicinity, you are the mark. And you must have the emotional intelligence that when the time comes for you to be robbed, because you will be, that you have the presence of mind to say, here are all my belongings. And you make the exchange. You know an exchange, you relinquish. And they keep moving and you keep moving. Because you understand the situation. Kat Matlala grew up in harrowing situations. My example about walking home and hearing the whistles, that's not even harrowing. He went through some stuff. So for him, if business is how do I get the money quickly, and somebody says, this is a way to get the money quickly, he then went for it. That he was paying facilitation fees, I don't think that that's Kat Matlala that we need to investigate. We need to understand the institution of corruption that has now taken over in the police, because Metropolitan Life left a situation, Metropolitan Health left a situation because they were the supplier who was doing it before Kat Matlala. And when Kat Matlala started the job, the lady who lets the cadets come had an expectation, which means it had been happening in the past. So, I've got no doubts that Kat Matlala is not the most honest person. I'm sure about that. And this is not pretty privilege, guys. I don't think he's handsome. I know many of you think he's handsome. I don't think he's handsome. But he's got those things that are, if I like, look, it's not like I wouldn't date him. You know what I mean? Like, but I wouldn't stand him like I stand Idris Halba. Now, he's taken all the Idris Elba elements, but he's not the thing that I'm looking for. Anyways, what I was saying is that Kat Matlala is somebody who is opportunistic, and he's a businessman, and he's just going from contract to contract and making it work. And he understands that if you don't pay the bribes, things will move slower or your business may collapse, because that's the reality, because corruption is institutionalized in South Africa. If you don't agree to the corruption, it will have a detrimental effect on your well-being, on your business's well-being, on your business's survival. Many businesses have gone under in the name of integrity, but he has no integrity. That's for free. We can get in this space of business. He might have integrity somewhere else, I don't know. But I want to find, I find people have integrity in general. You know what I mean? Like, people that have integrity, they have it in a consistent manner across the different aspects of their lives. You know, it's not like I have integrity here but no integrity there. You know what I mean? Yeah. So Kat Matlala, look, he's got a checkered past, but to me, he's just, and the thing why I'm talking about it is that Kat Matlala is not the only representation of this in South Africa. There are many Kat Matlalas in South Africa who have done this in order to just exist as business people working with the state. So, of all the things, I don't think we can find Kat Matlala guilty of corruption unless there's a way in which he bought Funny, that funny guy, General Funny. Yeah. That one I said last week that he needs a lifestyle audit. Yeah, he needs one immediately of his lifestyle, friends' lifestyle, just a general. Because I think he's smart enough. The way that he was talking, he's somebody who parrot learns, and parrot learners are also known to behave in ways that are similar to the Kat Matlalas of this world. I want to articulate this clearly. If somebody knows that all I have to do is parrot learn this law in order to sit in this job, they also know that all I need to do is to tick all these boxes in order for this guy to get the tender and for me to get paid. Just saying. Right. We have reached our 30-minute mark of This Is What You Like. And it's usually at this point where I play you the song and I take a nice sip of water. I'm not going to play the whole song today, but I am going to play you some of the song. And I just want to tell you that making what you like is really, I love writing lyrics that are political, that are an observation of what's going on. Not literal. I don't have to be literal in what I'm saying. So you'll never hear me singing a song like Kat Matlala did this, and no. Like, it's not like that. What I'm trying to paint a picture of is in the line in the song, there's a line that says, "You can fly to Dubai, minister will justify. It's not that the minister has justified flights to Dubai. We don't know. But I can say, what I'm trying to say is that things happen and then the minister is utilized as a rubber stamp so that this thing is okay. Like Sibiya did. Sibiya was opportunistic. He took that moment to move the dockets, and then he said it in the name of the minister, and the minister just done something that he wasn't ready to do. And we're going to talk about the minister. But before we get there, I want you to enjoy This Is What You Like. Choose my Ketela, door to door by Agmenga. Is it what you like? Oh, my bona good doors of Jela, Zono Zabus of Fela. Is it what you want? How are you so surprised? This is what you like. Setting everywhere. Turn a blind eye, take a little kickback, nana. You can fly to Dubai, minister will justify. Go on a shopping spree with tax money. Yabona, Easy Susie, Yakala. Ingati siqhathiwe nyani. And that part of the lyrics basically says, our eyes are seeing, our stomachs are grumbling, our hands are folded. And this is about unemployment in this country. Our hands are folded. Why are we unemployed and our stomachs grumbling and our eyes seeing what they're seeing? It feels like we've been sold a dream. But I do want to say that I have had some engagement with the public sector, namely the clinics and the public schooling system. And my experience has been absolutely top notch. The first thing that you have to know when you are dealing with public sector is that public sector is there for everybody. So you are going to be many. You must accept there will be a queue. These are things that are just part of their promise of democracy, the gift of democracy. So we must understand that. We must also understand that the schooling system, for instance, there will be lots of kids in the classroom. But my experience of enrolling somebody into the school, the experience at the school, I loved the public schooling system because they're not there for profit. There were secondhand school uniforms for sale at very, very affordable prices. A dress can cost 400 Rand at the secondhand shop plus $40. It's the accessibility I'm here for. I'm here for that. So I don't think that we've been tricked in terms of the promise of a democracy. I think that we are in the process of doing the work that is required in democracy. We have to do work. And this is the work that is required of us, that we are currently doing. And we have to be reflective and look at ourselves, and we have to be honest. Because majority of us are not crooks. Majority of us are not criminals. Majority of us are not trying to cheat the system or game the system. This is a rogue element. And unfortunately, when things are smaller, they can be more organized. So this is rogue elements that have been able to organize themselves to siphon the government out of millions of rands. And we need to understand what are the circumstances on the ground that allow this to happen. Now I'm going to move on to our good old Minister Mkhunu. Minister Mkhunu, I call him Mr. Happy. Minister Mkhunu is our case study because we went and we tried to understand why the minister wanted to disestablish the PKTT. It didn't make sense. The minister had been in the position for a mere 6 months. The minister had not visited all the provinces. So the minister was not finished with orientation. We know, Minister, you are not done with your orientation as Minister of Police. Minister, we know he didn't hire somebody that was fit and capable to be his chief of staff. He went to hire somebody who had the qualifications needed for the position, but the person was not qualified to do the job. There is a big difference between qualification and being qualified to do the work. Minister, instead of hiring somebody who was fit for the job, Minister hired somebody who was not fit for the job, did not know how to navigate the police, did not know how to have those relationships and to be able to speak to people and pick up the phone. And because the minister made decisions that just didn't make sense. The PKTT makes up less than 1% of it makes a mere 1%, just 1% of the entire budget in the police for task teams. So in the entire budget of the police, we are speaking of a decimal point in this task team and what they were spending on it. But the task team is performing. It's performing at almost triple the rate that the police are working at. Yes, we've seen plans that there was a future plan for PKTT to be institutionalized. There was a plan that the minister had seen. Why is he jumping the gun of the plan that he saw? Why is he closing it immediately? And if there was something coming out of the PKTT that was criminal, why not move on those criminal things that are happening while you try to make sense of what's happening at the PKTT? Because those criminal proceedings against those allegations that may or may not exist, that process is ongoing, and you are not tarnished by that. It's not that you made it happen, but you can seek to understand this team and why it's working so well, and get to understand how can it be applied in the rest of the police, and if not, why not? What are the reasons why it cannot be duplicated across the police? I know one reason. It's way too powerful. Guys, I trust my country, I trust my democracy, but all of the people sitting in that PKTT can destroy someone's life from start to finish. Now, I did say last week that the kind of people that are in the PKTT are not the kind of people that will organize themselves to do a coup or organize themselves in that way, but there must be mechanisms to make sure that nobody makes friends. You can't have a PKTT that is just it was supposed to be generalized in order to disseminate, in order to dilute the power that it has, because you'd have rotations, people moving from one place to another place, because the team and who's there, guys, they can make up a crime now and all the way to court and convict you and you go to prison and be able to create everything that they need to make this case be to be an open and shut case. So Minister, we've seen that from your track record, Minister, you're a lone wolf. You don't work with people, man. And you need to work with people if you're going to be a minister. And you need to trust people. Now, we spoke about the incentives in government and how people cannot, it's very hard to manage government officials because their incentives are a product of collective bargaining. and not of performance. So if for a lot of government officials, that their bonus is not based on that they did their job well. It's a collective bargaining outcome. And that's one thing that I've identified. It's a problem in the public sector. People must get paid for the work that they've done. Simple. We don't need a union to come and say that everybody must get a 13th check. No. No. Because South Africa is currently not getting a 13th check. The nation of South Africa. The nation of South Africa is short paid. Why are you giving government officials 13th check? Being a minister is not a reward, guys. And we've seen that because of our system of voting in South Africa and how we vote for government, when a party wins, when the president gets to appoint ministers, it's almost like a reward. Well done. You be minister of that. You'll be minister of that. You'll be minister of that. And actually, being a minister is an occupation. You need to understand exactly what you're doing. So we don't understand why Senzo Mchunu did what he did. But wherever he is, I tell you, I guess he's having a spot of tea. He's having a spot of tea. MP Fadil Adams and Diane Collar Barnard. Here we just say, never papa man. Baya papa. And you know, when you're an MP, member of parliament, remember, guys, these are people that are coming from political parties. These are the galvanizers, these are the organizers, these are those people that become MPs. Ne? These are the people that do go over and above and beyond. They are the kinds of people who do that. Because to organize a lot of people around an idea, it takes a lot of energy. These people are highly energized. So when you look at them receiving classified information, what Mkhwanazi was saying about them is that they received classified information and then handled it irresponsibly. Okay. We understand why they did it because we know who they are. There are those people who would get something like that and go, Chow! And want to go to the police departments. And now their actions, how they did it, was them throwing their weight around, honestly. And what you need to understand when you're not, because when you're a community organizer, sometimes you do have to throw around your weight because you basically are making people follow you. And so they must see you do some things that they can't do. Yabo? So that they did this, we should not be surprised, but we should be concerned because it means that members of parliament are not getting the right training when they are joining parliament so that they are walked through the terms of reference of the committees they serve on and what is expected of them as parliamentarians. You are under surveillance, but you are not only under surveillance as yourselves, you are under surveillance as a collective, as parliamentarians. Do people understand the terms of reference of the committees that they serve on? Then I want to move on to General Sibiya. General Sibiya acted opportunistically. And what I know of General Sibiya at this point is that we just need to understand General Sibiya. What was the opportunistic action in aid of? What was the purpose of the opportunistic action? There's no doubt him taking the dockets, moving them from A to B was opportunistic. Because even though the minister wrote this letter, the commissioner had not given any further instructions for people to act on this directive. He said, I'm going to handle this. But it was taking time. And the fact that this was happening, this limbo, Sibiya said, this is the opportunity. What was the intention here? Because we cannot say that we are sure that the intention was to meddle with something inside the files. Don't make that mistake. we cannot be certain that what he was meddling in or what he was utilizing the opportunistic moment for was to access the documents. We don't know about that. We don't know whether that was the point, because the point could have just been to create another diversion. Like the dockets move, that's going to be drama. Let's push this thing. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. That's what we can do, is we need to wonder. Because there was people who said that CBI needs a lifestyle audit. And we remember this gate. All of us, we remember this gate. We remember this gate, guys. And when I looked at this gate, I said, definitely, we need a lifestyle audit. That was me. I was definitely about it. But then, because this kind of a gate, it's giving those rocks are expenses. That wood, expenses. Those trimmings, the finishing, all of that, expenses. But then I remembered that no, but when you become a certain position in government, if you are somebody who needs to have a secure home, surveillance and all of that, there is a thing called a security upgrade. Remember, Nkandla vibes. Nkandla? There we knew about the security upgrade. That's when you learned about that. Where they do security upgrades. This could have been a security upgrade. Now, as South Africans, are we happy to be paying for these expensive bricks? I don't know if the expensive bricks make this wall more bulletproof. Maybe we need to ask those questions, because these security upgrades are expensive. They're very expensive. Or, as South Africans, we need to say, no, security upgrades must meet the requirements. But you see here, we can see that there's somebody who's tending to the lawn. Is that person being paid as part of the security upgrade? Because it could be argued that his responsibility is to cut the trees outside the line of sight of the cameras. We don't know. And when I saw him outside this gate, I was like, this looks like a gate to the entrance of a compound. Who's paying for this compound? Apparently the land is expensive. I don't know. Somebody said 3 million. At that position, you can afford land for 3 million. Then if you look in the gate, guys, if you look there in the gate, this gate is not giving, this inside of the house. If you look inside there, can you see that house? That house is not giving corruption. That house is not giving corruption. I don't know. Maybe his poison he's getting his poison somewhere else. We don't know. But I'm not sure it's corruption in the sense we may be thinking. We need to understand why the dockets were moved. And it is not because the PKTT was disestablished. We already know that the transfer of dockets in a coherent handover process, the handing over of the dockets would have been the final step. It would have been something that happened on day 31, on the last day of January, if the minister's immediate meant the end of the month. Not any time before that, and not in the absence of a handover that everybody is aware of. People are not aware of this thing. That was an opportunistic move, and we need to understand why. Thank you for tuning in to This Is What You Like. My name is Nomi Superstar. This Is What You Like is my podcast. It is running for 6 weeks. We are halfway. Can you believe it? This is the 3rd episode. We're going to have 6 more. The last episode on the eve of the release of this single. This single is produced by PH Raw X. It also has a feature from Robin Fussy. There's more stuff you're going to be hearing. This is a banger. Please do follow me and download me on Spotify, on iTunes, on whatever platform that you're streaming your music. Please share this with your friends and family on YouTube. Please subscribe. But this is going to be running for 6 weeks. It's a political podcast, and it's just looking at what's happening in the commission, in the parliamentary committee, but it's contextualizing the writing of lyrics for me. What are the things that I'm thinking about? Because when I say wanna be a millionaire, jet setting everywhere, turn a blind eye, take a little kickback, nyana. What I'm saying is that if you wanna be all these things that we sing on Instagram, you're gonna have to turn a blind eye. Are you willing to turn a blind eye? I'm also saying that you're going to have to take kickbacks. Are you the kickback kind of person? Is this the kind of democracy that you want? That if you want to be amazing and do your job amazingly and be of service, that there has to be crooked in you before you can be? This is the performance appraisal of the South African government 30 years into our independence. This is the right time. This is the right time. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Nomi Superstar. I will see you next week, Thursday at 10:30, live on YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. See you next week. How are you?